Spiderweb. I'd like to declare the meeting open. This special council meeting is being live streamed in accordance with the city's live streaming and recording policy. By being present at the meeting, members of the public consent to the city recording and live streaming their image and or voice. Could I call upon Deputy Mayor Barry Winmar to present Welcome to Country?
Thank you, Worship. I'll begin by acknowledging my elders past and present. Ngalak nyin kurang ngalang noach nijin nonga buja. Nonga mo jerpen nijin dane kwabarak nonga buja kurlong. From the beginning of time to the end, this is Noongar country. Noongar people have been graceful keepers of our nation for many, many years. Jinajin Karajin jerpen nijawur nonga buja ngalamar border. Look, listen, understand, and embrace all the elements of Noongar country. This is forever our home. Hello and welcome. My heart is happy as we're gathered on country and meeting here on Noongar country tonight.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here, and before commencing proceedings, I would like to acknowledge that we come together tonight on the traditional lands of the Noongar people. We pay our respects to the elders past and present, and can also acknowledge that it is Reconciliation Week. Could I then call upon Councillor Ivy Penny to do the dedication?
May we, the elected members of the City of Kwinana, have the wisdom to consider all matters before us with due consideration, integrity and respect for the Council Chamber. May the decisions made be in good faith and always in the best interest of the greater Kwinana community that we serve.
Attendance, apologies, leave of absence previously approved. It's nil. Public question time is nil. There's nothing on item 6.1, 6.2 or 6.3. Do councillors have any declarations of interest or city officers? Nil. Do any councillors have a leave of absence? Also nil. Item 9.1, consideration of advertised differential rate submissions and requests for ministerial approval of the 24-25 proposed differential rates and minimum payments. Is there any additional information? No, Mr. Mayor. Does council have any questions? Councillor Michael James Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship. So my question is in relation to the public submissions, perhaps number 10, where it states, the rating policy states the local government has reviewed and considered rates proposed in neighbouring or similar local government districts in the rating strategy, and goes on to say, nothing was tabled in the 24th of April 2024 minutes to demonstrate how Kwinana rates compare to neighbouring local governments. And then in the city's response, it doesn't respond to that particular comment in the submission. So my question is, why was that a particular portion not responded to at the time, and does the city have a response to provide around that now?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. In relation to that one, so when we are looking at the putting together of rates, we do an assessment against the rates of the neighbouring councils as well as other councils. So we email out. The reason why we don't put those in here is because the councils haven't gone through the process of setting those rates. They can change, but all we're doing is just using it to get an assessment as to where they are in terms of their rates for the following year.
Thank you. Just a follow-up. Is it possible for the city to provide kind of any comparisons at this time, whether that's Cockburn, Rockingham, or other what could be seen as equivalent councils in this context?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Most of the councils are sitting somewhere between 3.5 to 5%. They all vary though.
So I would have thought comparing local government with local government is actually a difficult exercise.
Yeah, it's, if I may, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
It's one of the difficult things because you can't, it's not comparing apples with apples. Because the reason for it is you don't know what their capital works program is going to be like for the year. You don't know what their funding challenges are. Also, the different rate bases and other revenue streams are quite different as well. So it's actually not a good mechanism to do it, but all we're doing is just looking at it as a high, very, very high level comparison, but you can't compare.
Just another question, if I may. So another thing that came through some of the submissions was the cost of living and perhaps difficulty to pay rates in this economic environment. Could the city just give a general overview of the mechanisms that do exist to support residents who may struggle to pay rates, including the rise being proposed?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So a ratepayer has a number of options which they can use. They can contact the rates team and they can look to set up a direct debit system so that they are managing it that way. We also have a hardship policy. So if a ratepayer is experiencing significant financial hardship, they can make an application through that. Over the space of the last 4 years, we have had 2 applications for that to be used.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Councillor Sargent?
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. In the correspondence in my homework before speaking to Mr. CEO Wayne Jack, could you please just speak to, I highlighted especially in submission 9 and 10 regarding the reference where it keeps saying about the large financial amount of money and the rise in that the number of households and ratepayers has also increased. I know that there was a large circulation on social media showing these 3 very large figures with quite large jumps, and you've given me a clear explanation. Do you mind please providing that for the public today?
Phoenicia, our CFO, to cover that.
So basically, I'm just going to my email. Basically, the increases have been due to the interim rate notices, which is basically all the above our normal rates. We'll have interim rate notices that come through during the year. That's one of the increases that contributed to that. And also the CPI that was used in the LTFP was done at a very moderate rate. It was between 2 and 3%. But in actual fact, we've seen rises going to up to 7 to 9%. And that was not built into that LTFP. That LTFP was prepared in 22, 23 when those figures were extracted. So that's one of the main contributor. And due to the inflationary cost, we have to increase the rate in the dollar. And therefore the revenue has increased. That's one of the main contributors.
Councillor Sargent?
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. Is it okay for me to read information that council has provided me in this?
The CEO can probably cover off what's been provided.
Just regarding the actual number of ratepayers for the year and how that number has also jumped as well, I guess, for transparency towards the community.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So as Venetia, the CFO, was saying, so the reason for the change between the LTFP is because our interim rate adjustments, we have additional ratepayers because we are a growth council. And I think one of the things that people need to understand is that whilst there is a growth in the number of ratepayers, which then results in increased rates revenue, that is a result of having to look after additional infrastructure within the community. So if you take 23, for instance, we had 19,530 ratepayers. 24, that moved to 20,115. So about a 600 approximate increase. And then 25, 2718. And these are financial years, so about another 600 increase. But as I said, you can't, that revenue is needed to fund the additional costs of managing the infrastructure for that growth areas.
Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions? So we're clear, we're setting the rate, we're not actually setting the budget. The budget will be set from the rate, obviously.
This is just differential.
Yeah. No other questions? Someone like to move this way? Moved Councillor Acker, seconded Councillor Sargent. It would be great if you'd like to speak on the item. Councillor Acker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just, I think for the public's, for the ratepayers' ease of mind, you know, there's been lots of comments on social media about meetings canceled and rate rises and that sort of things. We do go to a lot of briefings, and we've been briefed on this, and we have a pretty good understanding of why the rate needs to be set where it is. So I'd like to thank the city staff for that, and assure the ratepayers out there that it's the right thing for the city to put the rates and the differential rates where they are right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sargent.
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. I would just like to say, in the clear and transparent information that city officers have provided to council, that setting the rate at this level is ensuring ethical and responsible governance to make sure going forwards we are not on costing operational expenses to our further generations. In taking this step, we are being responsible in our approach to make sure that we are giving the quality standard of service to the community that it requires at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak against the item? I would encourage, if anyone is wanting to, I guess, vote against, but that's up to you, that you might want to speak against, if that's the case. If no one does want to speak against, that's fine. No? I'll put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Item 10, as we had a council meeting last week, I assume there are no reports of elected members. Neil, there are no mayoral announcements. Haven't missed any items. Did anyone want to make a report? Okay. Say that for the next meeting. I declare the meeting closed at 5:42. Sorry, I couldn't even see that. It was behind my